Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shetler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Bras for a Cause 2025 is Saturday, April 12th at the Carl Craft Civic Center in Hedrick. Dinner is provided by Bubba at 4:30. There's a free will donation, plus a silent auction from 4:30 to 9 p.m. And of course, the live bra auction starts at 6 p.m., modeling by the Hedrick Volunteer Firemen. All proceeds to benefit our local communities. For more information about Bras for a Cause 2025, contact Lori Hornback at 641-777-4252. Keokuk County Veterans Affairs recognizes Saturday, March 29th as Vietnam War Veterans Day. We remember those who served. Keokuk County Veterans Affairs will be here when you need us. Find them on the ground floor of the Keokuk County Courthouse. Call 641-622-2761 or email Michelle Herman. Regular office hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday 8 to 2, Wednesdays 8 to noon and 1 to 3, and Friday from 8 to noon. We remember those who served in the Vietnam War on Saturday, March 29th.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast. The podcast by the fan for the fan. I'm your host, Never Wrong Nick Bull. So happy for you to join us. So happy you found us. If you love to talk wrestling and hear insights about the world of wrestling from the people in the world of wrestling, this is the place to be. We got a good one waiting in the green room for us here. We'll bring him in a few minutes. But before we get to that, we've got some business to attend to. And I'd be remiss if I did not introduce my tag team partner and co-host. We are also co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champion Network. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing, bud?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little tired. I'll be honest. I feel like future me is invading because my eyes are starting to droop a little bit, but I don't know why. So it's not next week. It's not Hell Weekend yet. So I need to stop that. But no, I'm doing good. I'm excited for our guest. But before we get there, like you said, we got a little business to conduct. Got to give a shout out to our good friend Ricky Lee, who is the proprietor of the Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show. This will be the 4th annual. And of course, we're on a championship belt, Nick.
Yeah, we're on a side plate. How cool is that? Like, really? I mean, when I signed up to do a pro wrestling podcast with a good buddy, I did not think we would ever be on a side plate of a championship belt, but lo and behold, there we are, that beautiful logo on the side of the belt. Here, I'll turn my hat around. It's this beautiful logo you see on the front of this hat here, baby. Woo! Here it is, the card. So yeah, that's a beautiful belt. That belt is going to go to the Wrestler's Choice for best car at the show. Wrestlers at the show will be the Headbangers. Both Mosh and Thrasher will be there. Buff Bagwell will be in attendance. And then, of course, WCW wrestler Lash LaRue will also be there. So it's going to be a great time. And we're glad to be a part of it. We're glad to sponsor another year. Made a good friend with Ricky. And that's what's great about this, is making friends along the way that you never would have before this show. So,
amen.
And it's great. It's for a great cause. May 4th. I believe they're trying to get over 100 cars signed up for their event. So get out early, get out there often. We'll be out there, of course, in some capacity. Of course, talking to the wrestlers, talking to the fans. We maybe even go live out there. I'm not sure yet. We'll talk about that here in the coming weeks. But big things coming up here for the show, and of course the Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show that is on May 4th at the Rock Island County Fairgrounds.
Yes, I'm excited. And for those super nerds like me, May 4th is also Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Sorry, had to get that in. Cheap plug for Star Wars. But that's neither here nor there. Nick, we've got a guest who's kind of got hands all over the Midwest here in the wrestling world, in the indie wrestling world. You see him at Dreamwave. You can see him, of course, at Zawa Live shows. And most recently, he is part of Social Experiment Wrestling, the new promotion that started up. We're going to bring him in. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Zeke Zishi into the studio. Zeke, how you doing, buddy? Oh.
Just had to show you my dog. I'm doing good, man. I don't want to start off with a dog picture, man.
That's all right, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
A little Junie action. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're glad to have you. You're definitely a guest we've wanted to have on for quite some time because,
Thank you.
I know you've been doing this for a while. And my first run-in with you, my introduction to you was up at a Dreamwave show. You were a part of the show and you were great.
Right.
You entertained me. But we'll get back to that in a second. I ask every first-time guest the same question. I'm going to ask you the same thing, Mr. Zishi. Why pro wrestling? What is it about it that got you hooked and has kept you hooked all these years?
Well, so I came from like the Hogan, Macho Man, Andre the Giant era of like the mid to late 80s, early 90s. Kind of stuck around for a little bit. Disappeared a little bit in the 90s as far as watching goes. And then I came back in probably the Attitude Era and just really enjoyed it. I was doing music for a while. So I kind of got away from wrestling as far as watching it and keeping up with it, but kind of got wind of how indie wrestling works. And it kind of was really sparked my interest in just the do-it-yourself nature of it and just how it's a community. And I guess just this is a weird thing. People say, well, wrestling's stupid. That's why I love it. That's one of the things I love about wrestling is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it shouldn't. I mean, some people do, but I don't.
I would agree with you, Zeke. I mean, I love a serious wrestling storyline, but I think there's room for just about anything in wrestling.
Right.
And comedy, when done right in wrestling, is so good. Like,
right. And I don't mean to say that I only like.
No. I know what you mean. I love
a good silliness, and you can take a silliness from a serious thing in wrestling, like for instance, Bret Hart losing his jacket all those years ago. That's the silliest thing, but they made it into a serious feud out of that, and that's the type of thing I love in wrestling. Pro wrestling logic and pro wrestling reality. You know
what though? I mean, but the match had a stipulation.
Oh yeah, I'd be pissed if someone took my jacket too, man.
those leather jackets aren't cheap.
Oh yeah, especially not with those glasses.
I knew exactly what you meant when you said that. Like, yeah, it's wrestling,
Yeah.
So what was there a moment? I think we're kind of all similar in age here. I think maybe you be a little bit younger than us old heads. But we grew up around the same time. You mentioned those names. That all sounds familiar, and that's all checking the boxes and stuff. Was there a particular moment that happened where you were like, wow, this is it?
Probably Foley going through the cage, honestly. I mean, as far as watching, do you mean as far as watching or as far as like performing? Because watching, I remember we had about 20 people watching that pay-per-view, and we were in 7th grade at the time. And 7th grade for 1998 was probably the best age you could be for wrestling in 1998. And I remember when he went through that Hell in the Cell, the pop in our living room was equivalent to on scale pop to in that building. I just remember then being like, this is something that's beyond presentation, beyond sport, beyond what entertainment, whatever you want to call it, I guess.
So follow up to that, what brought you into doing this as something you work with on a regular basis?
So I was on the radio for several years, and just kind of talking with the guy that owned it was called Funky Monkey Wrestling. And
I
for
remember
those of
that.
you who aren't familiar with Funky Monkey, it was kind of before Zawa. It was kind of our promotion here in Rock Falls and Sterling, Illinois. And so I had been talking with them about possibly, doing some commentary, kind of like what you guys, just kind of maybe interview the wrestlers, some commentary here and there, do a little small thing in exchange for advertising on the radio station. And my very first night that I ended up managing it was great. And it just kind of fell into piece from there. And it's kind of natural since then.
Yeah, you definitely have a gift. That's for sure. We're talking here with Zeke Zishi. I'm going to ask him and delve into the world now of Dreamwave Wrestling. That's kind of where
for sure.
I first came across you, and you definitely have a presence about you when you come through that curtain. How much of the real Zeke Zishi are we seeing when you're doing that? I mean, you're that. I mean, hey, you've been in the Nasty Boys armpit. I was there that night. I mean, you're just in the unfortunate situations at the wrong times, but you're great in your role, and you absolutely resonated. I love when I see you at those shows.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I think that I found throughout my life, I was trying to find what advantage being a short loudmouth would ever have. And I found that in pro wrestling, it's actually people do not like to be told what to do by somebody who is shorter than them. And for whatever reason, I found that out early. And it seems to work at Dreamwave and Social Experiment. And yeah, Dreamwave is a special place. I think that the opportunities that I've got there from Dreamwave, from Jay Repsol, and they really, I can't understate them enough. I've got to work with pretty much everybody or meet everybody on my bucket list besides like Stone Cold or The Rock or Hulk Hogan. I mean, besides those three, he's literally, I mean, Shawn Michaels was there. I mean, Mick Foley, everybody's been at Dreamwave, and for a town of 15,000 people that LaSalle is, it's pretty remarkable. But as far as just connection with the crowd, once you get there, you got to get on them. And you got to stay on them, and you got to connect quickly, because if you don't, they're on to the next thing. There's a lot of show. So if you don't make a connection and if you don't make a mark, they're just going to remember the next person.
Absolutely, you gotta make that connection, whether you're wrestling, whether you're managing, whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Without that connection, that they're not going to know you from guy off the street.
Exactly, and it's not the exact same thing as the old Jimmy Hart quote. If you want to dress like people in the stands, go start sitting with them. It's kind of the same thing. You got to let people, and this sounds super arrogant, you got to let people in the stands know that you're on the stage. If you're trying to portray this heel character, that you're not one of them, and that's just my opinion of it, without trying to sound like I'm arrogant about.
You're making the best use of your time.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And managing is doing that without trying to take the shine off of the person that you're there to represent. And I think that that's a delicate balance that I've tried to be on the better side of most of the times. There's times where I know that I haven't, but that's part of the business.
Is that one of the harder things, is being out there, being the rah-rah guy for somebody and not being the bigger person than the wrestler? Is that harder than it looks?
It is, because there's times in the beginning of my managing career where I thought I just had to go 100 miles per hour. And you notice that some of the talent, the different talent knows what level they want to use you at, if that makes sense. So if you have a guy that's pretty good on his own gift of gab, just kind of sit back and let him do it. talk to a couple fan members, individually, focus on one or two fan guys and kind of draw back from there rather than being a loudmouth the whole time. Sometimes if I get with a younger guy that I know needs a little help getting some heat, I will go a little bit overboard, I guess, and be a little bit louder and more rambunctious, just so the fans will get into that match if necessarily the green kid isn't being able to express himself rather than just wrestling.